Have internet cafes completely died yet? Well, they're on life support, and unfortunately, our kids and our grandkids won't be playing on LAN Counter Strike with their friends and bonding because this is a dying industry, and anyone who's looking at the data now is definitely not going to be opening one of these businesses. And their biggest threat is not other internet cafes competing with them, it's just the advancements in technology. Internet speed all over the world is faster and it's cheaper now, especially with 4 and 5G packets. And on top of that, what smartphones couldn't do 5-10 years ago on a laptop, they can do them now. So there's less need for people to go out and rent a PC. And they have high startup and upkeep costs with small demand in specific regions with global usage dropping. And that demand is for specific reasons, and we'll get into why that is. So let's look at the global demand. In most developed countries, home and mobile internet completely killed internet cafes. They barely exist or non-existent. In Latin America, it's going to continue falling in the coming years. Between 30 to 5% is the estimate. So it's not looking too good there either. What about Africa? Well, internet packets and packages and even home broadband is still very expensive to have really good fast internet. So a lot of people, it's just cheaper for them to go to an internet cafe and rent the Wi-Fi, even if it's just on their home devices, because maybe they need fast Wi-Fi for specific reasons. What about in Asia? And some places still hold demand for very specific reasons, and we'll get into why that is, especially Japan. It has a really unique reason to why that is. And in Europe and North America, traditional markets, I mean, they barely exist anymore. There's no demand for these places. But there is in China and Philippines and Indonesia, and we'll get into why that is. So people need cheap access to gaming PCs. That's one of the biggest reasons these things are still around. To build a gaming PC with the monitor, the keyboard, the mouse, the headset, it's not cheap. I mean, you're looking at around $800 to $2,500 depending on the GPU you buy and all the other parts. So people still also enjoy playing on LAN in some specific regions, but it's dying off. And students who are looking for jobs maybe will go to these I know this sounds crazy, but they'll go to these internet cafes because now they're expanding into so many areas, like helping you with your resume, laminating, printing, and scanning, like printing services in businesses. They're doing whatever they can, but it gets crazier. We'll get into those other strategies they're using to stay alive. So the startup costs and rent, especially in big cities. Let's say you want to open up in a big major city like, I don't know, Taipei or Istanbul. You're going to be paying crazy rent. On top of the dying demand, who would dare open one of these businesses? And like I said, the PCs are expensive to build with the entire setup, not accounting for the desks, the chairs, the internet network connection that is so fast that people can all game on together, hundreds of people with perfect ping, and then software, licensing, and repairs. Don't forget about utility costs for AC units that have to be on. It has to be nice and cool. Lights on 24/7, lots of computers siphoning electricity. It's not a cheap business to run it, for sure. So, like I said, in big cities, the rent is very expensive. And who would dare open in rural areas where the rent is cheaper with already dying demand too? So how do these cafes actually make money? I'm sure we all know this. They charge you an hourly rate to rent a PC, anywhere from $1 to $2 depending on the country. And if you back then, when you had like 100 PCs and they were all full, the business was making around 12 to 19K a month. So it's good business. But let's look at the fun part of this. How are they trying to stay alive? They're trying to adapt in the craziest ways. So this is some things are expected here, but some things are big surprises. For example, obviously they're going to start selling gift cards for PSN, Xbox Live, Steam, and then they're going to maybe start running tournaments, gaming esports tournaments with entry fees, printing, laminating, scanning, graphic design services also, food, drinks, and snacks. They'll even sell you bubble tea in some places. And then this is a cool one. They'll actually help you build the gaming PC. They'll order all the parts and sell you the finished desktop, or you can buy specific parts. They'll order it for you. Maybe you need a new GPU for your home PC, so you'll go there to buy one because they maybe have a lot of extra parts from all the PCs they do have. And some internet cafes are slowly moving into hotels and the real estate industry. Well, look at Japan. Japan has a really unique market where people are very isolated. I mean, they even have a word for it, for these people who never leave their homes. And rent can be expensive in some areas in major cities. So and a lot of people work off their computer or just need their computer all the time. So what they do is they have these small little boxes that you can rent that has a small desk and a gaming PC with a place to lie down on. And then there's bathrooms there, there's shared snack vending machines and all these things. So they've turned it into a hotel, which is a good way to deal with the high rise of costs for rent. So it's interesting the way that they're adapting, and almost like the membership and subscription programs some internet cafes did have, where you pay a one-time fee per month and you get unlimited access. So what are their big risks? Like we said, mobile devices, faster internet at home, broadband, cheaper 4 and 5G packages that are even faster and unlimited than they were before. And we can just look at what happened in 2010 to 2012 in this study with PC banks in Korea. They lost 17% of the market just when internet usage rose, so especially on mobile devices. So you can imagine what those stats are going to be now. This is almost 15 years ago. So high running equipment and utility costs, like I explained, and then with the COVID lockdowns and all that, you can imagine how many of them also got a faster boot out the market too. So too many competitors and alternatives, but not specifically other internet cafes is what we've learned. It's just the advancements in internet and technology that's killing this business. You know, there was a need for the VHS tapes and the DVD rental places back then, but then when the internet came out, that need died, and so did those businesses. So, like I said, they're evolving in any way they can. For example, in Philippines and China, there's still lots of esports tournaments that they try and hold, and some of the other ways they're trying to experiment to stay alive is turning them into like VR amusement parks, where you go in and you rent a VR headset and you ride a cool ride and you sit on a chair that shakes while you watch something really cool on the VR headset. And then they're also doing coding competitions and hosting workshops for digital literacy classes. Some of them are turning into co-working hybrids, because what are they going to do with all this unoccupied office space and equipment that cost money? And they're going to target freelancers who need a place to work. And the craziest ones I've seen are people who are turning the entire cafes into cryptocurrency mining facilities, because they have all this expensive hardware like good quality GPUs and CPUs. Why not just mine crypto off them? What else are they going to do? But unfortunately, the global market is expected to continue shrinking. That's what the market trends show for this industry, with the CAGR, which stands for Compound Annual Growth Rate, to be minus 5% annually. That's the expected amount to continue. And overall, the decline is expected to continue, obviously, with pockets of small areas that may still have some small demand, but maybe in 10, 15 years, our kids won't be playing Counter-Strike online in these internet cafes like we used to when we were kids. So unfortunately, this is the sad reality of this industry. A new technology came out and wiped it off the market. And that's what you have to be aware of when you get into business. There are risks associated with any kind of industry. And if you have a local business and you're trying to get more local customers to find you and stay ahead of the competition and stay up to date with all the latest things that are coming out, book a free call with me where I help local businesses around the world rank higher on Google Maps, which is the #1 platform people go to locally to look for a service that they want. So if you're into that, you can book a free call at vortexranker.com with me at a time that's most convenient to you, and I can see how I can help you out. So I hope you learned some interesting things from this. I know it was a sad video, but it does open our eyes to how markets can change so fast. But that's about it for today. I hope you have a good one. Take care.